Yes, Tie and Fly, book of week. We in the building, energy today. Tie and Fly, what's happening, Mr. Tie?
I got red. I feel like that. I got red from that.
Where's the energy, D? Come on, man.
Get Tie and Fly. We are back. Never split the difference. We are here, and you can tell that we're pumped. So this is definitely going to be a good book because we're both pumped, and also it's sunny. Yeah, that's another reason as well.
Get me? Yeah, no, man. Yeah, boy, Ty's put me on the spot, asked me to do the intros. I don't feel like I'm as smooth as you, but this month we was reading Never Split the Difference. This is a book that Tyler's been trying to keep under wraps for a long time, for over a year, maybe even 2 years when I think about it, when I deep it. So yeah, man, it's a great book.
This is a book I've been telling you to read for 2 years, for maybe nearly 2 years, and I didn't put it as part of the book challenge at the start because I thought, if he didn't read it before, he most probably wouldn't read it now. But obviously, you have to read it now, and you've had to, innit? So hopefully you've enjoyed it, innit? Yeah, start off, innit? How did you find it? Did it live up to my expectations?
At points, yeah. No, definitely. The book is a good book. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed reading it. Very easy read. Very easy read, and it lived up. I was like, because I do remember when you read this book, and it was mainly about the emails. I think there was even a period of time when I was kind of getting you to read through my emails before I sent them off, just to kind of give it that little sprinkle of Tyler effect. You know what I'm saying? but yeah, no, it lived up to my expectations. I think it's about the guy Chris Voss, is a former FBI negotiator, and he kind of coined a new style of negotiation tactics within the FBI, which is more about kind of reading the person emotionally, he touched on the old style tactics that they had, but this is more about questioning and trying to get empathy from the person you're negotiating with.
Yeah. I mean, I've been excited to talk about this book because I wanted to know if you've had any personal experiences using anything that the book talks about to negotiate better. And I know we spoke about something briefly, but I know there's more. But yeah, just hit them with the first one.
Definitely, there's two occasions that pointed out to me that kind of, all right. So how the book kind of works is it's a different way to kind of get the desired responses you want from individuals within a negotiation, and things that you might not sum up as a negotiation. So you might not realize a negotiation is taking place when actually a lot of things are a negotiation. That's kind of one of the things that Chris Voss puts forward, that, even getting someone to respond to an email or getting someone to kind of concede on a point, which it might not be negotiating about money or whatever other thing you might think about, where it's a deadpan kind of negotiation, or in his case, hostage negotiations. There's a few tactics that he speaks about, like calibrated questioning. That's pretty much, from what I can remember, asking questions with how and what, and sometimes occasionally why, but why you have to kind of be careful how you do it, because it can come across a certain way. People don't tend to respond to whys in a positive manner, so you kind of have to be careful how you phrase it. Anyway, in regards to myself, there's a few. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but on two occasions, there was one occasion where I've been negotiating. Well, I wasn't negotiating, trying to get a meeting with, we do our holiday programs and our different kind of sports programs and whatnot. We're trying to get a meeting. Things are going really well with the person I was speaking to, the contact I was speaking to. Actually have a good relationship with that contact and with that organization. However, they had to kind of go to their superior. So that is where things tend to kind of, in the past, literally this happened to me in the past, where we'll be having great conversation and then literally like that, things just kind of stall. So this time I thought, and the typical way I used to deal with that before would be like, oh, hi, Chris here, just check in if you had a chance to read the email, XYZ, Whereas with, there's a thing where, in this book, where he kind of says, if you're trying to chase someone down to get that response because they haven't responded to a previous email, just question them in a way that feels that. Would you say he makes them defensive? How would you categorize it?
Defensive. I I wouldn't say defensive. I would say it's direct. I would say it's a very direct question.
Yeah. And it draws a response, and it will draw either like a no, like leave us alone, or it's going to make this person kind of work hard, or in my experience, make them work hard to prove that they haven't given up on the project or something like that. So to be more specific, I was waiting for an email back, hadn't got it. So in the book, he kind of just says, if you're in that situation, just email them maybe a one-liner, hi John, have you given up on this project? ? Regards, Chris. So that's what I literally just more or less what I did. So I said, I emailed the person. It's like, hi, Lucy, have you and the organization given up on this project? And I left it at that. Literally that day, later on, and that was about 3 p.m., 4 p.m. That day I got 2 emails from them. No, we haven't given up on it. Sorry that we've been really busy. We've got to speak to this person. XYZ. It got them working, because I feel like that's why when I say it holds them accountable to a point, because they were like, now she was trying to prove to me that they haven't given up on the project. You see what I mean? So that was one of the experiences I had. It was very positive. Just that simple question, like, have you given up on the project? So that's something like, if you're maybe trying to speak to a client or speak to someone that's a prospective client, you can and if they had given up, they would have said, you know what, Chris, we're not really going forward with this. Instead of all the kind of playing games and, nonsense emails, being polite to each other and all this kind of stuff, it's just kind of it lets me know exactly where I stand with them. So that's one of the things that I really like. That was quite powerful, to be fair.
Do you know that same theory, would come in with a direct question, have you given up on the project, or asking them an open, not an open question, but asking them a direct question like that puts it on them, basically. Yeah. And I've had the opposite experience where someone has given me a direct question in relation to work. And prior to reading this book, I would have responded a different way. But after reading this book, I responded with confidence based on the book. And basically what the example is, I deliver these wellbeing webinars, and I have a set price, and depending on attendee numbers, depends on the price. And the client had a little bit less than the recommended attendee numbers. So for example, the pricing is based on 50 attendees, and they had 25 attendees. And the lady simply emailed me and said, oh, thanks for the pricing. Is the price the same, seeing that we have less attendees than the normal price? And previously, I probably would have said, okay, maybe I can give you a discount because there's not as much people attending. But I simply just said, that's the price. Just straight direct, because that's my time. That's my time. And they said, okay, yeah, cool, thanks. Can we book you in for this date at this time? And I feel like that bit that you're talking about helped me in the reverse, because they asked me a very direct question, and normally I would have crumbled, or it's put on me, but I didn't. So yeah, I thought that was quite good.
Do you feel kind of having the knowledge from the book kind of gave you maybe more confidence to kind of stand by your price? And if you did have to go down that conversation about how to justify it or whatever way it might have gone, do you feel like maybe you had a bit more confidence that you would have been able to handle that?
100%. Because at the end of the day, that's my price. And you need to value yourself and your service. Yeah. And I thought that was, that's kind of how that part of the book, what I took from it. But one of the other things I loved, there's so much I loved about this book, but was the empathy, which, empathizing with someone who is, maybe arguing with you or venting with you. And I'll give you an example. I have people, or, some people sometimes that call me up to ask my opinion. Let's just say family that call me up to ask my opinion. But in a venting way. They're venting, they're moaning about a life situation, not about me, but about a life situation, and they're venting. And I don't always agree with them. And I don't always agree with them. And I think prior to reading this book, maybe I would, voice that and confront them, and, it might not be as smooth. The conversation might then, not be a nice conversation. But the book helped me to realize that the phone call they're giving me, they're not asking for my opinion. They don't care about my opinion. They just want to blow off some steam. They just want to vent. They just want to share their frustrations. And the book helped me realize, okay, there's no point confronting them to get into an argument or a disagreement. Let me hear them out, hear what they have to say, try and understand why they're, maybe annoyed, or understand their frustrations. I don't have to agree with them if I don't agree with it, but at least I can understand it. And then by asking them questions, open questions, to get my point across, if I didn't agree with them, it helped them to see the other side. So asking them, okay, how would you feel if you was in that situation? Or what do you think it's like for the other person based on this? And I think that just really helped me in my personal life, because rather than, having these altercations that I had no point of having an altercation, someone's calling me to vent. I didn't have there was no point in me getting in an altercation. So having the book talk about empathizing and, just trying to get your point across with open questions, helping the other person to see other angles and other possibilities. I thought that was a really nice way to, kind of diffuse someone who's, angry.
It's interesting, because even with the empathy side, he talks about, going back to like a negotiation side of things, like the tactical empathy. So, using empathy to kind of get, I guess it is influence, isn't it? You know what's funny with this book, going to my influence? I kind of felt like this was influence 2.0.
Yeah.
In a way, because I feel like where influence obviously was written quite a while ago, I'm not sure when it was written, but I feel like this was a lot more like relatable, and it seemed a lot more modern. And essentially it's the same sort of thing, because you're trying to get a desired outcome from that individual in negotiation, and even sales, like, influence is about sales and, about marketing and stuff like that. So this kind of made me feel like this is like influence 2.0 sort of thing. But like tactical empathy, using that. So if you're negotiating on the phone with someone, or in any set way in a business setting, if they kind of open up to you, he goes on about black swans. So the black swan is basically like, if they kind of show their hand, if they kind of say something that kind of reveals what their real motivation is. So you might be arguing with someone, or not arguing, negotiating with someone about price, but the price isn't the problem. It's the reason why they want the price is the problem. So if you can kind of uncover the real reason, then you can empathize with that real reason. So a very simple example would be, if you're like a car salesman, and if you're a car salesman, and then you've got someone in there, they want to buy a car for a certain price, they're trying to hack them down, you're trying to make them pay the desired price, then you're trying to work out why. You need to find out why they're not willing to pay that much for that price. So they might say, I've overpaid on my last 2 cars. So that's the real reason. So if you can prove to that person, if you can empathize and say, like, I know what you mean, I've been in the same situation, I've actually, been overcharged on cars myself, hence why I'm a car salesman now, because I wouldn't do that to someone else, because I'm a car salesman now, and I wouldn't do that to someone else. And you can actually show them the true value, say this car is actually a very good price. Because I've empathized with that person, I'm more likely for them to agree with me, or they'll understand that I'm seeing things from their perspective. So it kind of, because I've used that black swan, as they call, because I've uncovered the real reason. But that's another, you can use, that's a good thing when you're trying to negotiate with someone, because people like doing things with people that they feel understanding.
Yeah.
So it's quite interesting, man.
Yeah, I thought the empathy for me was again another life changing, because I feel like, in life you always have disagreements with people, and at the end of the day, whoever you're disagreeing with, you both want a desired outcome. You both want to end, or hopefully end, on amicable or positive, in a positive outcome. So I think just by listening and empathizing, it really does help to, just, diffuse it, if you like, make it turn into a less argumentative situation.
You know what it does? It puts you in. It's like you're no longer a rival. You're kind of like a teammate in a sense. It's like, wow, we're both going through the same situation here, or I can relate to your situation. So I mean,
the thing about it. Go on.
No, go for it.
No, the thing about it that I found was interesting though is you need to be able to control your emotions. Because if you can't control your emotions, because you might be too boiled up inside whatever the situation to even empathize or to try and hear the other person's point of view, because you might.
Well, it depends on the situation, doesn't it? It depends on the situation.
Yeah, 100%.
You know. You're right. You're right.
It talks about the woman who was leaving her company. She left her company because this new CEO came in and he didn't like her, and he was sexist, and he didn't like the fact that she was giving her opinion or whatever, and they both despised of each other, and she had to invoice them for one last payment, which let's say was $4,000 or something, and he just said, no, that's too much. I don't see I don't see the value in that. What did you do for that? And she kind of just went back and forth, but it didn't result in her getting paid. So Chris Voss helped her write out a negotiation plan to get her money that she was owed. Yeah. And they started off with the email saying, like you said, have you given up on resolving this amicably, or something like that? So again, a nice direct question: have you given up on resolving this amicably? And it got a response from the CEO straight away. Yeah. And then step after step, she listened to his tactics, and she was getting closer and closer based on the tactics by Chris Voss. And then she lost it, and she couldn't control her emotions, and ended up, arguing with the guy or whatever. And long story short, she didn't get her money because she couldn't control her emotions. Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting, like to be able to empathize and ask these questions. You have to try and control your emotions, because I think it's good to lean into emotions sometimes. Yeah. But you still have to keep them under control. Yeah. I think I like the use of certain words that he mentioned, when he said about, when having a discussion with someone, asking them, is that fair? And, asking, is it fair, is like an emotional word, because, it's an emotional word. And I really like the use of, that word, in the way they negotiated it. I think, go on. No, there was a part which I liked about, which is something that kind of, it's about negotiating numbers and setting people's expectations. And I think he gave the example of, there was a guy trying to get a particular property for a particular price. And then, there was a lot of things he said about, when you're negotiating, like set the expectations like mad low, so anchor the expectations from, let's say the property's worth, let's just use silly numbers now. Let's say the property's worth like, I don't know, like 100,000. No, it was renting, sorry. So let's say it was renting, you could pay £1,000 a month for renting, yeah? But the person had a budget of, say, 700, let's say 700, right? So he was saying, if you're negotiating, so if someone wants to pay 700, but the value is 1,000, he would say, go with your first offer at like 450 or 400. Do you know what I mean? Like, make it mad low, where they'll be like, but then also keep kind of, once they kind of come back to you, don't respond to them with a no, respond to them with, how did he put it? Respond to them like, say no in a different type of way. Yeah. So say, thank you for your offer. Thank you for your offer. I understand that is such a great offer. But at this moment in time, that just doesn't work for me right now. Yeah. My best offer is I can push it up to 650. So but they said that was the thing that I liked, when they was like, use odd numbers. Like, you see, like, so for example, you say, look, I can give you £689.52, because it kind of insinuates that I've done calculations.
because it's like no one who makes those numbers up. Do you know what I mean? So it like makes it feel like, wow, this guy's actually done this. Or you can say, I've worked it out, and this property is actually worth da-da-da. And when you be as specific as you can and use odd numbers, and I was like, you know what, actually, that, and it reminded me of a negotiation that I had a little while ago, and I was like, right, I wish I'd read this before, because I could have definitely, I mean, I got a good price, but I could have got a better price. I know that.
Yeah.
Because like with me, I typically don't really like negotiating. If I'm honest with you, I don't really like it. It makes me a bit uncomfortable, because I feel like, for me, like, I'm feeling like, look, give me the best price. What's the best price? And if I feel it's fair, if I feel it's a good price, I won't really try and sting you for a little bit lower. I just, but I mean, if there's money on the table, there's money on the table. I guess it just kind of comes down to your value. But with this, I was thinking like, you know what, I would have just like to try it and just see, like, you know what, got my phone out and just been typing buttons and it's been like, you know what, I could afford X point and 52 pence or something like that. And I feel like, so I'm like, you know what, I'm looking forward to another opportunity to just try it.
Yeah. I think it talks about doing it, 4 times and starting off at 65%.
Yes.
Then going to 85%.
Yeah.
Then going to 95%, and then going to 100% of what you actually. So if your budget was actually £700, you start off at 65% of 700.
Ackerman bargaining.
Say that again?
It's called Ackerman bargaining.
Yeah.
65% less than you're willing to pay.
Yeah. So I actually haven't used that negotiation tactic yet, or skill. Say that again?
So I didn't catch that last bit, sorry.
I haven't used that negotiation tactic or skill yet, so it'll be interesting, when a situation comes that I can use it. What did you think of the mirroring?
Yeah, I think it's very good. And I think, you know what I realized, I realized, because when you read these books, you realize like things about yourself, things that you either do or things that you don't do, And I was like, okay, I kind of realized that I kind of mirror people already. Yeah. Unintentionally. But not in this situation, not in like a negotiation situation. Yeah. Just sometimes if I'm kind of like, how can I put it? If you're having a conversation with someone that you're kind of like, let's say like, you see an uncle or a member of your family or someone who you don't really know that well, you don't really have that much in common, but you're kind of being impolite to that person. I noticed that if I haven't really got much to say to you, but I don't want to be rude to you, and I'm going to have a conversation with you, I tend to just kind of, I just kind of, if they say like, we went to the match the other day and it was so busy, mate, it was great, like whatever, I'll be like, oh, we went to the match, I'll just kind of repeat to them, repeat what they say. So, and I was like, I think that's a very good tactic, and I feel like it works because people don't actually realize it. Yeah. I tried it, I've tried it with my fiance, I've tried it with people, I've just kind of, let me see if the thing works. Let me just see if they know if I'm repeating it. I did it the other day on a video call with someone. I was like, but I did it unintentionally. I was like, and they didn't even notice. I was like, okay, what do you think of it? Yeah.
I think it's interesting, and it's like you. I feel like I kind of do it. Maybe not in the exact same way that the book talks about. Maybe I'll elaborate more on the mirror. So for the purpose of the viewers, mirroring is basically someone tells you something, and then you just repeat it back to them, but in short. So, for example, Chris says to me today, today I ran a school project. We had 50 kids. And then I say, 50 kids? And then you will say, you elaborate. And then Chris will elaborate on it, basically.
So I'm supposed to jump in there.
But, I found it interesting. And what was actually really interesting is, again, this happened unintentionally in my daily press up group, or press up sit up group. So at the moment, I'm doing a daily press up, Monday to Friday, 50 press ups every day. And there's 3 of us, and one of them said, I'm feeling a little bit under the weather today. Can I not do my press ups today? And, I responded, if you're actually ill and you're sick, then I've got no issue with you, skipping today. But if you're just, not up to it, then no, do it. Step up to the plate and do it. And the other person said something like, day off or day off, question mark. And the response was, all right, do you know what? I'll just do it. So rather, like, we didn't say don't, like, you can't, you can't, you have to do it. It was questioning him. He got mirrored, like, you know, day off. And his response was, okay, I'm gonna do it. You know, better to
no, I think with the mirroring, like, it goes down to, I mean, what's he called it? It's a praxim. I don't know how to pronounce it properly, but it's just that it's unconscious. It's a subconscious or unconscious thing that you do. So even down to like your friendship groups and things like that, or people you kind of warm to. In general, typically people kind of warm to people that are like them, and you kind of like people that are more like you. So that's where the mirroring can benefit you, because if you can kind of make someone feel that, oh yeah, we've got a lot in common, you know, we're mirroring, we're using the same words or the same interests or whatnot. You know, it makes, and again, like I said, these books are about trying to get the best outcome for whether it's your business, even in your personal life, whatever you're trying to do. So it's about kind of trying to get that influence. I mean, I always thought a bit tricky with these books, because I'm like, right, how much of this, when does it stop being influencing and when does it start being manipulated? Do you know what I mean? That's kind of an inner question that I'm always asking myself. Do you know what I'm saying?
I think if you know deep down within yourself that you're not trying to manipulate anyone, like trying to manipulate people to do, you know, mad things, then it's like, then I feel like it's all right. You know within yourself if you're being manipulative, or if you're, you know, like I said, trying to overcome a desired outcome, you know, for everyone. Because at the end of the day, even if you're, you know, buying or selling something, the other person still wants to sell it.
Yes.
Do you know what I mean? So if you can still get the sale at the best price you want, they've still sold it to you. So that was their desired outcome. They wanted to sell it, and they sold it. So
I think it's like, well, it depends. I guess that's the thing. Is like, if someone has their baseline price and a price maybe they need to sell it for, they can't afford to sell it for anything less than that, but you manage to negotiate a lower price than that because you've used these tactics, you know what I mean? And they might not even be fully happy with that sale. I guess it depends. I mean, it's quite complicated. It depends on
the situation.
I mean, it depends on the situation, yeah. You know, it depends on the situation. But overall, if you're just trying to get the best price, you know, because even with me, whenever I'm kind of trying to negotiate something or buy something or whatever, and there's an opportunity to negotiate, I always say to them, what's the best price? You know, that's something I got a long time from Brian Tracy, from a long time ago. You know, I've said that, you know, even when I used to do sales, they'd be like, right, this is the best price. It might not be the cheapest price, but it's the best price. Do you know what I mean? So, no, but it's different, you know, so I will try and purchase it for the best price. And I guess that's the best price for both people. Do you know what I mean? So it's like, all right, I can't sell it for less than £100, but I need to make so that I can't get any lower than 100. Yeah. So that's the best price I can give you. I might have it up there for 200. You can maybe get me down to £100, but anything less than £100 is no good for me. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So,
there was another, you know, I like the tests and the psychology, the stats and stuff. There was another bit where they was testing a woman asking people if she could cut in front of them in the line for a printer.
Yes.
And I thought that was so interesting. Again, obviously I read the book a couple of years ago, but it reminded me. And all she did was say, "Can I go in front of you?" And 60% of the time, the people said yes. But when she gave a reason, "Can I go in front of you because I've got to pick up my kids from school?" 90% of the time, they said yes. Yeah. And it didn't matter what the reason was. That's what I found so interesting. Can I go in front of you because I've got 4 pieces of paper? Whatever the reason.
Sick. Listen to this, that reminded me of something, When I went Barbados, we went snorkeling or scuba diving even. And I remember we called when you go on holiday, last couple of days, broke, like no money left, but I was like, Ray, we want to go snorkeling, cool. So I remember we called up the people, and I forget how much it was so long ago now. But and it was like, this is the price. Let's say the price is, it's $1 billion, isn't it? Let's say the price was like $50 billion, I don't remember how much it was, right? So $50 Bayesian dollars. And I said to the guy, "Right, can you do us anything cheaper than that? Like, can you give us a better price than that?" And he was like, "Real," and he basically said, "Why? Why should I?" And I said, "Because I'm asking." And he was like, "All right, cool." And he just dropped the price. And I was like, so that kind of reminded me of that, because I didn't give him a reason until he asked for a reason.
Yeah,
I was like, he goes, "Oh, why should I?" I said, "Look, man, because I'm asking." Yeah. And he's like, "Okay," and he reduced it by quite a decent amount as well, like, because So I remember that when I read that, I was like, "Wow." So it's interesting, like you said, the reason doesn't necessarily matter, but people want a reason, because I guess you kind of, in your mind, you justify it. Where if they're asking and this reason means enough to them, then it's a good enough reason.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got 4 pieces of paper. And you think, "Oh, well, yeah, that's quite a lot." or you think, "Yeah, 4. It's only 4 pieces of paper." Yeah. Like, that's fine or whatever. But anyway, either way, you rationalize it and it makes sense to you. So you're like, "Yeah, go on then, no problem."
Yeah,
I'm gonna try that. Can I push it? Like when you go shopping, like, "Oh, can I go in front of you?" Because I don't even know. Just make up any reason. Because I'm in a rush. You know what I'm saying? Because I want to pay for my food. You know what I'm saying? Can I go in front of you? I want to pay.
Yeah, I thought that was quite funny. Quite interesting as well.
What was your I mean, I know we go back a little bit. You're talking about fair. What was your I know you had a little experience with the fair. I don't know if you want to divulge that a little bit.
Yeah. I guess I had a work experience where someone was being unfair, and
that's to put it nicely, yeah.
Yeah, that's to put it nicely. Someone was being, unfair or unreasonable, and I didn't give in to their demands, and I just said to them, I empathize with their situation, which I understood. I empathize with their situation, and some of the words I used was, I don't think your requests are fair, and I don't think you're being considerate. And this was an honest response. Do you know what I mean? To an unreasonable request. Basically, someone wanted to use my treatment room at work. I've got a treatment room that I pay for, and someone else wanted to use it on a day that I was using it, that I was fully booked. And they tried to, ask to use it, with about less than 24 hours notice, or not really asked to use it. They tried to enforce themselves to use it. And, rather than going off and saying, "No, there's no way," and, creating a big, drama about it, I just, try to empathize with their situation. I understand that you've probably got people that need to see you too, but so do I. And, I don't feel your request is fair, and I don't feel it's considerate. And, the end result was, I still carried on, using the room that I use. But the book actually came at the perfect time because I think I would have got into my emotions if I wasn't reading this book, and I would have, just said, "How dare you? You're being an idiot," or probably a little bit more abrupt than that. Yeah. But the book really helped me to control my emotions and to take time when responding to this situation, and it ended up with a positive outcome, or an amicable outcome. So yeah.
I think what it is with this book, right? It's like, if you're someone that runs a business, but it's not even about running a business. I think if you're, because again, there's so many different examples. Whether everyone's gonna have to negotiate something at some time. Even then, I think there was a bit towards the end where he talks about, in relationship, that was it, avoiding conflict. Yeah. So something about avoiding conflict, and if people, because they want to avoid conflict, they sacrifice things within themselves, and they kind of compromise their own wants and needs, and then people kind of end up just getting divorced, but they've never had an argument, but because they kind of grow apart. Do you see what I mean? So there's different ways in which this book can kind of help. And as well, it's not like, how can I put it? It'll kind of, even with the questioning formats, though, like the calibrated questioning, what you're actually doing is uncovering information.
Yeah.
Because you're asking hows and whats, Yeah. And also what you're doing is you're kind of making that person account. You're kind of drilling down ignoring all the kind of nonsense around it, you know, drilling down to the core reasons behind their actions, you know. So even with that, like, have you given up on this project? That's quite an emotive email to send to someone, because it kind of insinuates that they've given up, which is not something that I don't give up. You know, people give up. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean? So it kind of makes them be accountable, because now if you say no, you say yes. So I think for me, there's so much in the book to go through. Like the whole thing, even about like responding to no and how you feel about getting a no from someone. So I mean, again, that's the majority of the time why people don't even enter into negotiation, because they're like, they don't want to hear a no. So that's why, you know, whether they won't go into that kind of sales role, or if they'll be scared to ask, oh, can I cut in line? Because, you know, and they might need to cut in line. They might have a real reason. I mean, you don't want to take the mick with it and be like, oh, can I cut in line? Just taking the mick, just going in front of people for the fun of it. Do you know what I mean? But yeah, man, there's a lot to take from it, man. I mean, you know what there's an interesting story, yeah? Because obviously he talks a lot about stories. So he'll talk about situations that happened when he was in the FBI. Oh, there's that, it's all coming back to me now. So there was one way he was talking about, which one should I say? All right, where there was a guy, I think in the morning, he'd gone and he'd killed this person and killed that person. He'd gone and robbed the bank, and he called the police and was like, I'm gonna kill this lady unless I get, he wanted to speak to do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, unless I have a shootout with the FBI at 3 o'clock. If I don't have a shootout at 3 o'clock with the FBI, I'm gonna kill more people. Yeah,
I'm gonna kill more hostages. So now the FBI's attitude was, don't worry about it. No one ever kills people on the deadline. We know that for certain. 3 o'clock comes, he murks the lady. He kills the lady straight away. Like no long talking. Then after he does that, he goes to the window and he gets shot by a police. Like a sniper takes him out. Yeah. So this is, I think, he was talking about the Black Swan.
Yeah.
So it was like, if they'd actually listened to him, instead of having their own kind of preconceptions about, oh, you know, don't worry, we know the process, X, Y, Z, they'd have looked at Red. This guy, what he actually wanted to do, he wanted to get killed by a police officer. So he didn't want money. He didn't have no demands. He actually gave his demands. His demands was he wants to have a shootout with the police.
Yeah.
You see what I mean? But they chose to ignore that because they didn't actually listen to him. They just kind of put their own kind of preconceptions onto it. Like, oh no, don't worry, no one. We've got loads of hours left. Do you know what I mean? So, you know, there's loads of stories in there, man. Even the one about where the guy got kidnapped, the taxi driver got kidnapped. Was it in South Africa?
I don't. South America, I think.
South America, and then apparently this kidnapping thing, according to the book, is like people just do it to get hostages, to get money to go out on the weekend.
Yeah. Oh no, it was in. Was it Haiti?
Haiti. That was it. Haiti. So he was like, because where they knew that, like, people just kidnap people, tourists, make demands. So the demands might have been something like 5,000, no, like 50,000. In the end, with his calibrated questioning, and because he knew that people do this, they need the money for Friday, they want to go on Friday, he got the guys down to like $2,000 and 52 cents or something like that. Do you remember that one?
Yeah,
I mean, so it's like, there's a lot of stories, and then that comes back to what I was saying before about using the odd numbers, because it looks like when you see that 2,899 cents, whatever, that person feels like, right, okay, they've really, and that's, trust me, that those odd numbers, you don't even know what that's going to cause problems for people when I'm negotiating, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, that is.
All sorts of numbers, man, I'll tell you.
Yeah, because it makes it look like, wow, they've really calculated this and really thought about this. That's the non-negotiable price now. Yeah. I mean, we fall victim to that every day, you know, with the $1.99, $2.99, you know, it's like $1.99 looks better than £2, you know what I mean? It's like,
it's all, I mean, you know, obviously we do that about pricing, you do that with your pricing, you know, that 99 or that 50, because you look at the big number. So it's $1.99, it's really £2. But you don't see £2, you see $1.99.
Yeah. The other thing I liked as well was about when he says getting a no instead of a yes. So he talks about counterfeit yeses. So when, you know, the salespeople call you and they're like, okay, do you like water? And and it's like a question that you kind of say, okay, yes. Or do you want running water in your house? Yes. Yeah. Do you want to have a hot shower, at least once a week? Yes. Do you want to have soap in that shower? Yes. Exactly. And it's like, these are all counterfeit yeses, because of course they're going to say yes to those questions. But then when it comes to the crunch time and they say, okay, well, you're going to need the X2000 pressure puncher, which comes with this soap dispenser. Now they're like, their back's already up because this person's, they're feeling finessed. Do you know what I mean? They're feeling,
but they've been finessed.
They're feeling influenced. And that when I get those calls, I feel the same, I feel like, oh, my back's up. But he kind of looks at it as approaching it in, getting people to say no, so that people are not, they don't have their back up, they have their, they're in a more relaxed, more relaxed state. And I thought that was an interesting way to sell something, I can't remember the examples he actually gives for no.
That one, what's it with the nose?
Yeah.
I don't know, it actually reminded me of, from Influence, it reminded me of, when he was talking about that saleswoman when she came in and she made him get the credit card or the cinema ticket or something like that. Do you like watching films 2 times a week?
Yeah.
It actually reminded me of that, and that's when I was like, oh, this is like Influence 2.0. Yeah. But the thing is with those sales tactics, like getting them to, that's like a very old school style, like get them to agree with you, nod your head, get them to agree with you, but now people are too smart and too savvy for that kind of stuff. And people won't, just because I've been agreed with you, doesn't mean I'm going to agree with you for this product.
Yeah.
So I mean, like,
doesn't mean I'm going to buy it. Just because I said yes to all there doesn't mean I'm going to buy that product.
It's because you're trying to apply logic to it. Yeah. So I mean, it's like, well, you said let's say I was trying to sell water bottles. Do you drink water? Yes. Oh, do you put that water in a bottle? Yes. Oh, then buy my water bottle. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't, yeah. But logically, that makes sense, right? But in the real world, it doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Yeah. So yeah, no, it's there's a lot, man. Like, even the whole thing about master, instead of getting someone to say so, he talks about the best 2 words you want to hear from someone is that's right, as opposed to yes. You're having a kind of, because when someone says that's right, it means they're seeing it from your perspective and they fully agreed with you. I'm not explaining it well, but that's basically what he's saying. So you want to hear that's right as opposed to yes.
Yeah. So you're having a negotiation or you're having a discussion, and rather than them, just saying yes, like you said, they've actually thought about it. You've asked them a question. You've empathized with them. You've thrown it back in at them. Okay, so this is what you want. This is how much you want to pay, and this is what you'll be willing to do. And when they hit you with "that's right," yeah, that's right, then they are like, okay, wow, this person fully understands me, and I'm gonna proceed with this sale or whatever. So I thought, and it doesn't have to be, that's right, those exact words, but that moment where they're like, yes, you completely understand me, or that's right is kind of the key words, but that meaning, other words that mean that same thing. So yeah.
I just remembered, even like going back to, there's a point where she was talking about before. Drawing the empathy. So I'm thinking of an example of myself now, right? With the empathy, because I used tactics from this in 2 situations, right, over this last month. One in a better way than the other. The one I told you was the right way, or I used it fully how it says. Then in regards to the empathy, I actually used tactical empathy, but I got them to be tactically empathize with me. I got them to empathize with me.
Yeah.
And I kind of held them up. You know what? I forget what you said, but where you kind of like put them on a pedestal as such. So I forget how he calls it, but I'll be like, I sent an email to someone. I was like, look, you guys are a reputable company. You've been, so I kind of labeling, that was it.
Yeah, labeling.
So labeling, I'm labeling, you lot have been doing X, Y, Z, but they weren't, the company I was dealing with, or the organization I was dealing with, weren't living up to the expectations. So of not expectations, the standards. They haven't been living up to their standards. So I kind of labeled the standards they had, and then I pointed out where they hadn't been living up to it.
Yeah.
Then I kind of explained the impacts it has on an organization like mine.
Yeah.
which again, according to your standards, your standards are here and you're operating on this level. And then I leaned a bit too far into my emotions. And and I think so. Do you know what I mean? To be fair, it got a desired response. How can I put this? I just let them know what the consequences would be, that the public would know what they were doing. I'm not going to go into it much more.
Yeah.
But I'll say, look, basically, if you don't start living up to your standards, everyone's going to know how you're not operating, because you're not operating in the right way. So, like I said, I started there, and then I just kind of leaned into my emotions. But he even says, like, it's good to get in those emotions at times. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But,
you felt you led into your emotions a bit too much.
yeah, a bit too much. Yeah. It gets emotional sometimes, man. It gets emotional sometimes. You know what I mean?
That's the hard part, you got to control your emotions, innit?
5%.
Yeah, all right, cool. Let's go on to our star. No, what do we normally do first?
Readability.
Difficulty rating.
Yes.
So, what did you think? Out of 5, how difficult was this?
Oh, this was 5 being the hardest.
Yeah.
Oh, a 2?
Yeah.
It's very easy to read.
Yeah. I think I agree, a 2. I think because I enjoy this book so much, I find it so easy to read as well. So I'll give it a 2 as well. What about your star rating? Because what star rating?
Star rating, this is a solid 4.
Yeah, okay.
I'm wavering between 3.5 and a 4, but purely for the fact that I've used and I will continue to use the strategies, this is a solid 4. Solid.
Yeah.
I think with most books I'm finding there are kind of parts when I'm like the last chapter was good, but I think it was a bit longer than it needed to be, personally. But nothing's perfect, no one's perfect. But a solid 4, hardcore. What about you?
I think this one is gonna be 4.5 for me.
Jeez! Is that the first? Is that your first one?
No, Annie Duke was 4.5 as well. Okay. I was close to giving it a 5, but I don't think I can give anything a 5. But the reason why I give it so high is because of the impact it's had in my life. So when I've been able to use certain things that the book has spoken about, I feel like the impact that has had on my life is like, wow, I have to give this book, the credit it deserves.
Very quickly. So this book, after everything you just said, and you weren't going to put it on the book review list, what does that say about you, bro? What does that say about you?
All right, this is your time to get me back, innit? From the book.
I'm just trying to explain. Yeah, put the book on your head, man. Put the book on your head. I was trying to understand. Anyway, that's all good. I'm joking. But I think because there's a few books that I've read in the past. I'm thinking, you know what? I think because it's good to reread. You should read a book at least 2 to 3 times. Yeah.
So this is the end of Time Fly's book reviews because Mr. Fly's battery has died. He didn't come prepared. But we're gonna leave it at that. And remember, support the Ting. Hit that like, hit the subscribe if you're not subscribed. And support the Ting. Peace and love.